You ask a question, if your mic is live, you're going to appear on camera in the upper corner as Chris asked. So if you don't want to appear on camera, type your question in on the chat, okay? Thank you.
Okay, I do have some questions. How does JamKazam compare with SoundJack?
Well, SoundJack apparently is great, from what I've heard. I would say my biased opinion would just be that I think that what JamKazam has done so well is to integrate so many different aspects in one GUI, in one app with, with drop downs and buttons and things. And I think that it's a little bit more challenging to handle all the steps of programs like SoundJack, but that's just my opinion, and I haven't worked with it.
Yeah, one of my colleagues, Ian Howell, has done a lot of research and publication on SoundJack through the pandemic, helping the voice teaching community tremendously. There are basically the 4 or 5 same steps. I looked into it. For me, I'm not really a techie. Everybody thinks I am, but I'm not really. So for me, the sheer physical eyeball interface just seemed to be more challenging. It just looked like the back end of a refrigerator, So it was a little more challenging for me. And so JamKazam looks pretty with the tiles, and I know where everything goes. And the other thing is the SoundJack, from what I understand, works really well with the additional little piece of hardware called the Fast Music Box, which is a dedicated little computer brain that the program runs on. Ian is such a techie, he teaches you how to build your own. I am not going there. I have 2 teenagers, I have enough to do. So this was an all-inclusive thing for me. I didn't have to do anything, and click, 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 and I was on. So they do the same thing. They're very compatible programs. I just think it's what is your comfort level with digging into the technology. I will say that now, after doing JamKazam, I find I am less hesitant to dive into SoundJack. I kind of know what to expect in SoundJack, even looking at the different visual interface of it. But they are very similar.
All right. David Gaines said that he works on a Mac with a USB mic and no audio interface. And while he doesn't have latency issues, he has static issues. Is that because he's not using an audio interface? And is there a way to correct that?
Well, it's jitter, probably. It may be his internet connection as well. But yes, it could be that. When you make that compromise, you do lose a little bit of the sort of high-powered, how can I put it? Just the technology of the interface is better for this than the little interface buried in the mic. But the mic works, I guess. Yeah,
the Yeti is a really good microphone, but a really crappy interface. It doesn't have the power or the ability to cut the latency. I would also suggest, if you haven't already, to go up to the Manage tab to Audio Booster and play with those settings to see if the crackling is coming from a bit rate or frame rate that's too low, and play with those a little bit.
Frame size.
John is asking, what troubleshooting resources can we turn to if there's a problem with ports in our firewall and with the connectivity issues?
Well, there's 2 things. One is there are the JamKazam forums. It's at the top of the JamKazam screen, actually, and it says the forums. You can click on it. It's a forum with people posting, people asking questions on all topics. Those sources are good. You can also email them, and actually they're great at responding these days. They're reputedly not, but I've found them amazing. The other thing is, when you talk about firewalls and routers and things, there will be help on that site for that. Some of this stuff is going to go away in about a month to 6 weeks. The new update, that's really the culmination of the last 2. It's the third of 3, which is going to put fully in place this audio relay system. They tell me that that is going to pretty well end the issues that they've had ever in the past of people suddenly getting no audio, people's routers, kind of backfiring on them. You won't have to do port forwarding, which is a router configuration thing I did not want to burden you with today. You won't have to do a lot of that once this next update comes out.
Okay, and then John writes, I'm on a Focusrite 2i2 with a Earthworks TC25, but my latency on JamKazam stays at 11 ms. Shouldn't it be lower?
Not really. Not with the Mac, and no. I mean, you can get down to what, Matt, like 9? Is that about where the best you get?
Yeah, I'm on a 2i2 as well, and I go anywhere from, I'm usually hover around 11.6,
Yeah.
and that's my latency. So that latency
Internal.
that you're looking at is internal. Yeah, so that's just between my computer and the interface.
Right.
So that will usually stay pretty consistent, and I don't know if there's anything we can do about that.
No, there isn't, because, I mean, Macs are more stable than PCs in sound and more versatile in sound, but they have higher latency than a PC does. That's all.
So let me ask you a question to both Chris and Matt. Is that 10, 11 ms latency something that is common with the Focusrite as it is with the Yeti? Because the Behringer gets 4.2.
No, well, and there are others, AudioBox, what is that called? I forget what the full name, but
The
USB
USB 96.
9 or something. 6.
96, yeah.
That one gets 3 or something. I mean, there are very low latency audio interfaces.
Chris, can I just jump in one thing, because you were talking about the video stuff?
Yeah.
One thing I'm experimenting with, and I will keep Chris and David and Sue completely updated with this, is using JamKazam as my audio server for people who are going onto StreamYard, and also for Ecamm and things like that, because JamKazam won't natively do that. And I've had success so far with 2 people, so now we're going to try and up it. So the idea is basically that they're sending their video to StreamYard, I'm invisible, and I'm sending my audio to StreamYard. So I'm the hub. So it's basically that control feature that you had said, but almost reversed. They're sending their video and I'm sending their audio.
Listen, I'm really glad you brought that up. If you get that happening, we're going to publicize the hell out of that on Cabaret Hotspot, because the live performance from 2 different remote locations, we still haven't seen it. And this is what the entire Cabaret community is on, hanging by our nails to see. So I want to see that as soon as we can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And another question about the Behringer. Is there some place that we can, someone can download more information about what each of the dials and buttons do? Mine came with a booklet, so it was pretty self-explanatory, and I'm sure you can find it online, but...
yeah, you can go to Behringer's own website, and they should have...
I think that was Mary. Mary, you can just email me, because it's so simple.
Okay, good. The only problem I'm having is with that mix dial. You know, and you talked a little bit about that, Christopher.
Yeah, it needs to be all the way to the right on what's called playback.
Oh.
If you can't hear through that, then you're having a problem in the app.
Okay, I was going the opposite way.
That's right.
I was going, so now, okay.
To the right is without direct monitoring, and you don't want to hear the sound coming just between your box and your microphone. You want it to go into JamKazam and back.
Okay.
And that's how the sound of the other people also is heard.
Now, Mary, I will tell you, and I've said this to Chris, and I'm the odd man out. I prefer the dial straight up to 12 o'clock, because if I go all the way to playback on JamKazam, I get a little kind of echo, not a reverb, but it sounds weird to me.
Yeah, I was getting that same thing.
Yes, so I just put it to straight up and down between mix and playback, so I can hear myself. It's really what you're comfortable with.
Right, and that's like a singer who wants to have one can on, one can off in a studio, you know, and that would be you're hearing more of your immediate sound, and then you're hearing the sound through the system. Yeah. But keep in mind that only makes sense if you're talking about singers. If you're a pianist, you got to hear that singer as well as you can, so you don't want to hear more of your own mic.
Okay.
You know, you can hear yourself. If you're a pianist, you want to get that as far as you can to hear what's coming through the program.
And in that case, you can lower your personal mix volume and raise their volume in the app.
No, I meant in terms of the mix style. You don't need to hear your direct monitoring. You need to hear them. So that's what that is. Yeah.
Chris, can I jump in? One thing, I've been
Sure.
also working with Karen Mack's vocal group, and there's 4 of them plus Stephen playing the piano. What they all experienced when I finally got them all on was it was very disconcerting because it was a wall of sound, and they're used to being on stage together, and your ears do that work of separation. So one of the things you guys might want to play with is using the pan on each person's individual input, because this way you can place people in different parts of your head while you're hearing them, so it's not all center, so you can keep your piano and yourself center and move your other singers off to the side.
And pan is just how we hear either the left or right of the headphone.
Or anywhere between the left and the right.
Right, you can set
So you
that.
could spread people out,
Yeah.
bit by bit,
And it's the middle dial. It's the middle. Chris and David showed you the little speaker icon that
Speaker.
controls the volume, and they showed you the little red or yellow dot
It's
that
the one
shows you
between
the
the two,
status.
right.
It's the one between the two that looks like a clock at 12 o'clock. There we go.
Right.
Ah, there it is. So let me make this larger for you. And the pan button is the center button between volume and stats. And if I can't click on it now because it's just an image of it, but if you, I guess, hover over it, the pan slider will appear, and you can distribute the sound either to the left or right of center. Still recording, yeah. So I want to thank Christopher Denny for joining us tonight. I know that this was a lot of information. I specifically asked him to bring you a lot of information. This is the biggest bang for your buck that I could give you. And there's still a lot more to talk about as far as the live performance broadcasting with JamKazam. So we are going to do a 1-hour follow-up to that, co-taught by Chris and Matt, so that we can really dive into the specifics of the live performance broadcasting. But we're not going to do that until mid or late September, to give you some time to really hang out with the program and understand it, okay? But that is coming down the pike. I also want to thank Matt Berman for staying up so late with us.
Yes, thank you, Matt.
Wow, Matt, thank you, and for contributing. Matt Berman Design brings all of his expertise from the theater into your home, helping you create the perfect technological and atmospheric setup for your own performance in your own quarantine.
And this is actually, yes, this is the logo for Matt Berman Design at Home.
At home, that's right. And so thank you so much, Matt, for doing that. And thank you so much to Sue for moderating again and for taking our chats.
Yes,
and
thank you, Sue.
Thank
My
you
pleasure,
all.
guys.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention at least once that Sue and I wrote a book. It's called So You Want to Sing Cabaret. It's available at Cabaret Hotspot and Amazon.com. And even if you're not a cabaret singer, every singer needs this book. There's a lot of information on finding your authentic voice, on lyric connection, on the history of the genre of the small venue performance. Many great performance celebrities are interviewed in the book. Michael Feinstein has a chapter on Great American Songbook. So you'll find it extremely interesting, I hope. And if you go to Cabaret Hotspot and put in this acronym, So You Want to Sing Cabaret Friends and Family, so what is that? SYT, whatever it is. But spell out So You Want to Sing Friends and Family, but just the first letters, 20, then you get 20% off that we're offering you here. And the last thing I want to say is we have some upcoming classes. Like I said, the live performance broadcasting with JamKazam. Then we're also going to be offering another online solution, diving into more of Internet MIDI and SuperScore. And then we're going to get back into our regular programming, which is our lyric connection and vocal performance classes coming in the winter and spring. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming and sticking with us. And we will see you on the other side.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.